this is when we delve into the thick of things. Karanja, am I right? Or is it the thin of thick?
No, the thick of things, man. But somehow I don't believe this drama story you two was trying to front here.
Which one?
You are in drama.
I was in
I have
drama.
certificates.
Me too.
Please do not get into things that you cannot confirm. Yes, we will deal with you.
We will talk about that later.
We'll get you to make an apology.
On the front page.
On the front page.
All right, this morning we are joined by none other than Jerry Rionge, a woman who needs no introduction in Kenyan business circles. Now, welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
And now, first things first, you're listed by Forbes as one of the most successful entrepreneurs in Kenya. Perhaps if you just give us a background of how it all started for you.
It started, the big debut actually started with Wananchi Online, where we identified very quickly that we needed to bring people, the mass market, onto the internet. Prior to Wananchi coming into play, we had a lot of other ISPs in the market, but they were focused on getting corporates and SMEs into giving them access to the internet. So we felt that, we needed more people to have access to the internet, and so Wananchi came into play and brought the prices down. That's what we did at that time, and then we were registered. Basically, we had capacity to provide services in the 5 main cities, so in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nyeri, Nyanyuki, and in Eldoret. Yeah. So that opportunity, I think, is really where it all began, the Wananchi story.
But I guess your business drive didn't start right there, because I read somewhere by the age of 20 you were selling yogurt.
Yes, I was selling yogurt. Actually, I did a number of things. I was selling yogurt at the age of 20, and I was also selling clothing. I'd go to Aldgate East in London and buy clothing and bring it back home and sell it to the customers that I actually serviced when I was a hairdresser back in the day. So yes, I've had a fantastic life in as far as having different types of experiences, from being just the basic salesperson to a hairdresser, all the way up into corporate and running a telco, or even running a telecommunications company like Wananchi, and what I do now, where we're actually launching software products for a disruptive market for SMEs.
Before we get into that, entrepreneurship is one thing that the current government is trying to front a lot, but there have been challenges in terms of entrepreneurship. We have a lot of youth who are more or less willing to start up some form of business here and there, but haven't found that kind of breakthrough as easy as they perceive it to be. Well, we have someone like you started off by selling yogurt, starting one of the first ISPs in the country. Perhaps if you're just able to give us the transition period from where you start and perhaps the goal that young people should have.
Okay, so first of all, entrepreneurship is a function of identifying an opportunity in a marketplace and developing a product or service to meet that opportunity, or to be able to bridge the gap and provide a service in that area. Most people would probably just identify that they are interested and passionate about something, and they go ahead and actually implement that and create a product or service. Those two aspects are actually quite different. So I think I would say that if you're going to go into entrepreneurship, you need to know yourself, you need to know what your competencies and your skills are, and you also need to identify those areas that you're not good at, so that you can bring people on board who would help you bridge that gap. I think if the country is really, really passionate about this subject, we need to start entrepreneurship from a very early on stage. The school, the education, the curriculum, all those pieces need to actually be looked at, because also the quality of education brings into play the competency building when you actually get out of university. So that's a critical point, is really thinking about what we're teaching, how we are teaching, and what type of individuals we are actually getting out of the schooling system or the education system at the end of the day. I think we all know today, based on the experience of 844, that education system has not been very, very good in bringing out competences at the end of the process that allow people to be innovative, allow people to be self-reliant, and allow people to actually find ways and means of learning outside of that school system. So I think there are several things that the government would actually need to focus on. So in my experience, I've also obviously interacted with a lot of the different iHubs and hubs, incubators that we now have in Nairobi. Along the Gong Road Strip, actually there are quite a number of people who are out there trying to make a difference, most of them in IT. And the challenge has been that you come up with a great idea, but you're then not able to bring all the different the pieces of the business aspect that come into play. So a product is great, but you need to know the market. You need to understand the needs of the market. You need to understand how to package that product, how to position it, how to go to market, whether even identify very quickly whether you even have a product that is where customers are interested in that product, and then hiring people and bringing people together and putting in place structures that allow the people you work within a governance environment where everybody's actually checking one another. So just because you are friends and like one another doesn't make a
good
great
recipe for business.
Exactly, or partnership for that matter.
One of the long list of portfolio of companies that you're involved in is the Business Lounge, which is more or less like an incubator for startup companies.
Yes.
Right. But perhaps in your interaction with young people really looking to break out, so what are some of the pitfalls that they face? What are some of the challenges that they face? They have a good idea, but execution always seems to be the biggest problem that they have.
Actually, execution is a big problem across the board. In all due respect to our great country, if we actually don't pay attention to our competency and building that capacity to execute successfully, we will constantly find that we are spending a lot of money in a journey or in a process that eventually has to be revisited again, over and over again. And we have very many examples. We have one critical example right now, and that's the county government structure. Yeah. We had great ideas, but our methodology in execution is really wanting. So I think as a country, we need to go back to the drawing board, and it starts again with the education piece. Yeah. But it also goes back to the integrity piece. We need to think about the integrity conversation. Are we really being genuine and honest about the experiences that we are encountering along the way? Yep. So if we go back again now to just the startups, or if we go back to the challenges that startups are facing, I should be able to say, Jerry, I am good at the following things. I can sell, I can build products, and I can also build structure. That I can do. And then there are those things I cannot do. And I should be able to say those things that I cannot do and allow other people to do those things that they are good at. So I think, if we want to execute, execution is a function of competency. Competency is a function of your ability to apply yourself. Just because you're very good at understanding the concept does not make you competent in that subject. So I think that's what we really need to think about when we're thinking about execution.
Other than execution, the other key challenge has always been funding.
Yes.
Now, you've been successful in trying to drive in getting investment into companies, but the one challenge that I keep hearing is that some of these startup companies have reluctance in ceding control of what the kind of idea that they have, in order to get someone to inject capital, so that the shared vision can grow. Perhaps when it comes to the funding aspect of business, what should people be expected to do, or how should they approach it when it comes to actually getting someone to inject capital to drive the business?
Okay, so the 2 points to this conversation. Number one, you only seek funding if you really genuinely know what you're going to use that money for. So we have seen in the recent three years a lot of interesting, innovative products being funded. But when they were funded, whatever it is that they were supposed to do in the execution piece to produce the outcome based on the money they received, there was failure in the execution piece. So we need to walk away from this notion that there is no funding. In fact, I think we've had the opportunity of outside investors, groups of people coming together, angel investors, funding into projects, but then burning their fingers because whatever happened, the outcome was failure. And failure is not a bad thing, actually, because you learn from it.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is have less failure and potentially a few good outcomes in that journey, so that there's more encouragement for angel investors to continue to invest. So I think the discipline on the execution, the discipline on the integrity in our conversation is very critical. Because again, we also saw a lot of people will go and put projects together because they know how to do that. They have information, all the information is available on the internet, but then they use that information to get the money, only to use the money for something else. So again, funding is available, but you need to have a viable project, and we need to create a corrective action on giving the confidence to investors, whether they're angel investors or otherwise, to continue to invest in us and to keep our story going. Right. So that's very critical, I'd say.
But let's just come back to you just as we wind up. Is nowadays you split your time between Nairobi and Toronto doing various stuff.
Yeah.
Perhaps if you're just able to give us what exactly it is you do with Insight Limited.
Okay, so Insight is a software development company. We are here to disrupt the market. At the beginning of my journey, we were looking to get as many people connected to the internet. Now we have internet, we have bandwidth, we have fiber optic cable in this country. We have a lot of entertainment content that's already piggybacking on that bandwidth. But we now need to bring business tools that are on the cloud that can benefit the use of the internet, so that we can get as many people on those services, small enterprise, medium enterprises, individuals, SOHO companies, corporates, who are then absorbing the bandwidth so that the price can actually come down. So Insight is actually here to create disruptive software services that are on the cloud, that are helping companies to actually be more efficient, and particularly support the conversation on execution.
Now that's a very interesting discussion that I think we should have with you later on when we get more time to have with you.
Right.
But anyway, thank you very much, Njeri. It's been a really insight on what actually drives startup companies in this country and what is actually needed to bridge that gap between entrepreneurship, ideas, and actually the whole route to execution.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Smart, you and your small quail business, you can always start somewhere. You can always start somewhere.
We can only put on the internet, and Njeri can help us.
Yes.
But also,
disruptive, yes.
Sophia has been, intimating to me how she likes Njeri's,
I love it. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
You look lovely. You speak well. Very intelligent woman.
Thank you.
I'm awed.
You should talk to me later.
I will. That was a great conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
you blunt a little bit.
Yes, of course.
What have you picked?
Internet business.
Yes.
Right? The thing about, listen, I'm very passionate about, internet and apps and all this.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, that we need to drive the cost, of internet down. That's number one. But number two, these apps need to help us solve a problem, whatever we're doing. Because most things that we're doing, we're putting it for just the market to buy, for the Safaricoms and whatnot. I think we should push most of our techies and stuff to try and help us things that can solve problems. Then we can make
applications.
I think so. That is just,
Applicable application.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Some of these things techies come up with.
Yeah.
how to move papers from bedroom to kitchen. It's good, but we don't need it.